Hello, welcome to the Bearded Horror Review. My name is Dan, aka the Boogey Man, and on this show I will watch a horror movie, either a classic or a new release, talk about some good points, talk about some bad points if there are any of either, give it a rating out of 10 if I remember to do it, and let you know if I think this film is worth a watch or not, in my humble opinion. And on this episode I'm going to be talking about a movie that I should have talked about a couple of weeks ago. I watched it on the day of release and everything, but some stuff happened in my personal life that I had to deal with, and I didn't feel like making videos, and I just needed some time. Especially given the subject matter of these films, I really didn't want to do it. But we're here, we're doing it today. I'm going to be talking about Smile 2. Smile. Before we carry on, guys, if you could leave a like and subscribe, it's a little thing for you, especially if you are enjoying these videos. It means so much to me and it really helps out the channel. Really appreciate it. Before we go into Smile 2, I'm going to say it straight up the top. Spoiler warning for Smile and Smile 2. Especially since this film takes up pretty much right after Smile. Original recipe Smile, first Smile. He's the first person to smile. Yeah, spoilers if you don't want to know anything about these two films, and especially since there's some things I want to talk about in regards to Smile 2 specifically. Spoiler warning, there's going to be some spoilers, so if you don't want to know anything, go away, watch the films, come back. So I saw Smile 1 when it came out. Not many people really wanted to see it or talk about it. There wasn't much hype around the first one when it came out. I remember going to see it pretty much the day it came out, and it was on the smallest screen in my cinema. I loved that film, and it was before I started reviewing movies, so I don't have a review of Smile 1, but I might do a review of the first one. Let me know down below if you want me to do a review of the first Smile. But yeah, this Smile 2, I was really looking forward to this. I did watch the trailer and I wasn't blown away, but I did really enjoy the first, so I did have high hopes and I could see what they were trying to do. First Smile is based around, just a person, and sequel, you got to go bigger. So they've gone, what would it be like if this happened to a celebrity? And here we are. So let's talk about the plot, guys. Again, spoilers if you don't want anything to know going from now, because I'm going to talk about Smile 1 and Smile 2. Smile 2 takes up right after Smile 1, and it's based around a singer who, after about a year of after a traumatic event, she has returned to release a new album, and she's going back on tour and she's promoting that. As she is preparing, she witnesses a death, and from then on she starts to see people smiling at her. She starts having hallucinations and seeing and hearing things, and she realizes and has been made aware that this is the entity, whatever it was, from the first one, and she's got about a week before she ends up dead. And so the film is based around that. Pretty simple plot, fairly easy. Yeah, so straight away I'm going to say where it differs from Smile 1 is in original Smile, the main character is actively trying to solve the problem. And in Smile 2, she's not. The problem solution gets pushed upon her. But she's trying to figure out what's going on. She just thinks she's going nuts. And there's a big reason for that. So I'm going to go into more points with the plot now. So again, third time, spoiler warning if you don't want to know. Smile 2 is based around a singer who, a year before this film sets off, was in a car crash that killed her boyfriend and seriously injured her, where she had to have surgery and stuff, and she has back issues and all this kind of problems. Before all this happened, she was obviously having a lot of troubles in her life. She was having issues with substance abuse and was clearly not in a good place. The film picks up, like I said, right after Smile 1. So if you've seen Smile 1, you know it ends with a unaliving. I can't say the actual word because of YouTube's algorithm. But this person who witnesses that unaliving then has a certain number of time to try and pass on this entity and try and figure it out. It's the police officer from the first one. And unfortunately, that isn't the case. I was thinking the whole film would be around him, but it's not. It's around this other character here, whose name is That one. So yeah, so it's based on this idea of what would happen if a really popular, famous person was now under the will of this smile demon entity, whatever you want to call it. And it's an interesting concept that falls flat, in my opinion. I did not enjoy this film as much as the first one. And this is why I've said so many spoiler warnings, because I have to talk about the plot and what happens in the film to explain why. This film feels very surface level compared to the first one. In the first one, we have a psychiatrist who is trying to understand what is happening to her, and she is actively trying to solve the problem. She has lived through a lot of trauma, which has led her to her profession, which has led her to do what she does. She overworks because she's constantly trying to help people and be there for people, because she doesn't want to be in them to be in the position that she was in, which was she was not helped when needed, and she felt helpless, and she doesn't want that to happen to anyone. So she works too much. She's burying down all these thoughts and issues that she's had for years, and during the first film they come out. She's a strong, capable woman but she's clearly losing her mind, and she just wants that help, and she realizes, that she has to do it on her own. It's heartbreaking when the end of the film happens in the first one. So the reason why I'm going on about this: first film, strong female actively trying to solve the problem, has real trauma that she has been burying for 30 odd years, compared to this character who is a drug addict who we find out is just a horrible person, and the trauma that she has was caused by her, and the trauma that occurred didn't happen before her substance abuse, didn't happen before she alienated and pushed everyone away who cared about her, and almost ruined her career. She is not likable to me in any way. I say this is my opinion. She spends the whole film complaining and blaming everybody else. She doesn't actively try and search for a solution. She doesn't understand. She doesn't try and understand. And she makes everyone else feel bad around her, instead of going actively trying to say something is wrong. I am in need of solving this problem. She is handed a solution.
How do we stop it?
We need to kill you first.
What?
And the solution is different than what was in the first one. So this second film goes against its own rules. I just found that it was hard to care about this woman. I understand people are going to say, she had this overbearing mother and phonies that were all around her that were pushing her into stardom.
Sky, pull it together and get back out there.
And pushing her into, getting back into the tour, and they're talking about money and stuff. And that, unfortunately, that is what celebrity and fame is like. It is harsh. And something I've come to realize from researching a lot of this kind of stuff is that one person, like this main character, is responsible for the paychecks of all these other people and the life of all these other people. So there's a lot of pressure on them. I understand that point. But that doesn't excuse her from being a total to everybody, especially even the people that are clearly trying to be nice to her. She has a best friend that she hasn't talked to in over a year since before the accident, because she pushed them away, because she was a drug addict and an alcoholic and an abusive, narcissistic person. And it's also a thing where you come to realize by the end of the film that a lot of the negative stuff that was said to her was probably manipulation by the Smile entity. And you come to realize that her trauma, spoiler alert, massive one if you don't want to know at all, was the fact that she caused a car crash whilst intoxicated and drugged up that unalived her boyfriend, who she was verbally and physically abusive to. You don't see anything else. You just see him calling her names and telling him he's sick of her. And so her trauma comes from that. We don't see what her life was like before that. We don't see what it was like for her, like, trying to be famous before that. We don't see what her childhood was like. What we do see is a lot of people rallying around her, trying to support her, not necessarily maybe in the best way. And she lies to people about things that are bothering her. Like, for example, she's not allowed painkillers because she was a drug addict and had, substance abuse, which caused her this car crash before. And the death that she sees is her going behind everybody's back to go and buy painkillers from this guy because he is a drug dealer. And he witnessed the death of the police officer from the first film who inherited the smile entity. And then, so he inherited it, and then that's how our main character inherits the smile demon. I found just, why would I sympathize with this actively horrible person? She is rude to her friend immediately, who she's begged for forgiveness from. She's rude to her family and friends. She's rude to the people who are working for her. There's a guy who's like an assistant that is with her mother throughout the film. Her mother's her manager, and he clearly is trying to be kind. There's all these subtle moments in these looks that he gives where it shows that he is clearly trying to be a kind person. He genuinely cares about her. And she shrugs him off, and she's rude to him. At one point, she screams at him. And I understand that there's manipulation and stuff going around. Like I said, the ending of the film breaks its own rules from the first one, or it comes up with a new thing. And already, if you break your internal logic, my suspension of disbelief is gone. So I was in the point of going, oh, they've just made up new rules. They've made up new rules. Which bothered me, because the first one established a rule and even gave a good solid groundwork for it to work. The rule is the rule, and they've just decided to change their mind. And I've realized something when I watch films like Smile 2, and we've had films come out this year that have been mediocre, say like Salem's Lot. We've had a lot of mediocre films over the last few years, like Insidious 5, Conjuring, whichever one it is on now, Annabelle, all the Annabelles and stuff. People don't want to be scared anymore. They want to be startled. I'm so startled. Because that's all the horror in this is. It goes down quiet and poof, loud noise after a little bit of a build-up, and then it's gone. There's no actual threat of danger or terror or horror. It's startling. Way too startled. Everybody's Randy Marsh, and I think that's what mainstream horror thinks scary is. Startling. You can't startle someone like myself. Like I've got ADHD and autism, and I can see things coming a mile away, and I've seen 1 billion horror films. If the music goes quiet, I know a loud noise is coming, and sometimes I can even count it down, and it's not scary, it's startling. So people just want to be startled. Maybe I should change this to the Bearded Startle review. And that's my problem with this film. That's why I didn't really like it very much. It's shot well to a degree. There's some great shots in it. There's some great cinematography. But there's also some really jarring, too much of trying to be cool and stylized camera shots that genuinely kind of just made me feel a bit dizzy. So it goes from great to not so great. It's very in the middle somewhere. Acting wise, I can't fault, especially on the main actress, who is this person again, can't remember her name. She's great in this character, but the character is deplorable and unlikable. And I'm kind of tired of this, seeing films with like pop stars and stuff in, because it feels like you're trying to push a singer and a stardom that I'm not here for that. And frankly, it's always pop music, and I listen to metal, so it ain't for me. And the end of this film I saw coming a mile away. Again, I'm not going to say what it is, but yeah, I knew exactly what was going to happen, and the ending felt rushed and lackluster, whereas in the first one, the ending was such a gut punch, because I felt like the person may have won, and you get this gut punch ending that is so well done. And the jump scares and things in the first one, yeah, it's got jump scares and a man startling, but it's also got these other very well planned out moments of, oh, damn, that just happened. And I saw that coming, and it's still traumatic. It's really well done in the first, and this feels like a cheap copy to me. So that's my review of Smile 2. I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. You know what? I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. It wasn't the worst, but in comparison to the first film, it is not as good. It is still a good film, and I will acknowledge that. But it was a disappointment to me. But I do have to acknowledge how well made it is. So I am going to give it a 7 out of 10 because there is so much great stuff in it, but it just falls flat. If they'd have made this character actually likable and thought through their internal logic a bit more, could have been an 8 or a 9. Could have been so high up. But 7 out of 10, I think I'm being generous because I really like the first one so much. And I know that I'm using some of my internal or expectation for this one. But yeah, guys, so what did you think of Smile 2? Let me know down in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. You can follow me on social media. All my links are down below. And if you have any suggestions for films that you want to see and review over the Christmas period, do let me know. And until the next time, guys, happy watching.